Sometime around 1420, in a room in Central Europe, someone sat down and began writing. And what they created was a 240-page manuscript, written in a flowing, entirely confident script.
Picture this for a moment. They take a goose quill, dip it into a pot of dark iron gall ink, and press it against a stack of calfskin vellum. Over what must have been months, or maybe even years, they worked with absolute silent focus.
But here is where the impossible nature of this work reveals itself. As they wrote, they drew. They drew plants that have literally never been found in nature. They charted stars that match no known sky. And this wasn't just the idle doodling of someone losing their mind. The careful, systematic detail clearly shows a creator who knew exactly what they were depicting.
They filled page after page with this profound sense of purpose. And then, the book just disappeared. When it eventually surfaced again, no one could read it. 600 years later, no one still can. The central impossibility of this manuscript isn't merely that it's difficult to decipher. It's that it behaves perfectly, mathematically perfectly, like real information. And yet its meaning remains completely, utterly locked away.
It's almost like an encyclopedia from an alternate dimension. The herbal sections feature these incredibly detailed yet biologically impossible plants, some with strange human-shaped roots. Then you have astronomical charts displaying circular diagrams of unrecognized constellations and bizarre zodiac-like symbols. Perhaps the most baffling is the biological section, which shows small, naked figures bathing in these complex networks of green liquid tubing. And finally, a pharmaceutical section, filled with jars and vials placed right alongside these star-like recipe paragraphs.
The text itself is written in what researchers now affectionately call Voynichese. It's a unique, highly consistent script made up of around 30 distinct symbols which group together to form words of about 4 to 6 characters. There is a rigid mechanical precision to it all. Certain symbols only ever appear at the beginnings of words, while others appear exclusively at the ends.
And mathematically speaking, the script behaves exactly like a natural human language. It actually follows Zipf's law, meaning a small handful of words appear very frequently, while the vast majority appear rarely, which is exactly how English or Latin or really any natural language works. Yet there's almost no repetition of identical words across different pages, and symbol combinations rarely appear twice in exactly the same form. If this really is a code, it demanded a sheer genius-level intellect to create.
Oh, and the complexity goes even deeper. For centuries, we knew the physical ink was laid down on the vellum from left to right. But in September 2025, researcher Christophe Perezel made a rather stunning statistical discovery. Using n-gram analysis, he found that the text is actually highly optimized for right-to-left reading. So think about that. The script was likely encoded backward in the author's mind, while being physically written forward on the page. It's a masterpiece of deliberate obfuscation.
The physical journey of the book is just as strange as its contents. Carbon dating firmly places its creation between 1404 and 1438. By the year 1600, it had surfaced in the imperial court of Holy Roman Emperor Rudolf II, who paid a massive fortune of 600 gold ducats for it. Fast forward to 1665, the great Jesuit scholar Athanasius Kircher wrote about his complete inability to read it. It was eventually purchased in 1912 by an antique book dealer named Wilfred Voynich, which is where it gets its name. And since 1969, it has rested quietly in a climate-controlled vault at Yale University's Voynich Library.
But to truly grasp the weight of this impossibility, we have to look at the minds it has broken over the years. William Friedman was one of the greatest cryptographers of the 20th century. This was the man who cracked Japan's seemingly unbreakable purple cipher during World War II. He spent decades of his life poring over the Voynich Manuscript. Decades. And he failed. He died without ever finding an answer.
And Friedman certainly wasn't alone in his defeat. The National Security Agency tried. The Central Intelligence Agency tried. Even Alan Turing, the father of modern computer science and the conqueror of the Enigma code, had a copy. The absolute greatest code-breaking institutions and minds in modern human history all possessed this book, and they were all completely, utterly defeated by it.
Faced with this towering wall of failure, researchers have generally debated 4 primary theories regarding what this manuscript actually is. First, that it's a complex cipher, a real text encoded so perfectly that it's just never been broken. Second, that it's a constructed language, boasting its own private, deliberately invented grammar. Third is the tantalizing possibility of a lost natural language, maybe a long-dead dialect of Nuado or Proto-Romance that left no other written trace in history. And fourth, that it's a deliberate hoax, a 600-year-old masterpiece of meaningless statistical deception.
The theories keep evolving too. Just recently, in November 2025, researcher Michael Greshko published a fascinating paper on the Nebe cipher. He demonstrated how ordinary Latin or Italian could actually be turned into these glyph sequences using structured substitution tables. By introducing elements of randomness using 15th century tools like dice and playing cards, he proved for the first time that a medieval person with simple gaming tools could absolutely replicate the precise statistical behavior of Voynichese. And then, of course, came the machines. Across 2025 and 2026, a massive AI transformer model, which was trained on 37 million medieval texts, found topic coherence in the herbal pages for the very first time. It actually matched botanical, medical vocabulary, clustering around concepts like root, stem, and boil. Separately, another AI model identified a base 12 mathematical structure in the text, a system completely unused in any known human language.
And we need to be incredibly precise here about what this actually means. The AI did not decode the book. It didn't translate a single sentence for us. But what it did do was monumental. It proved that the text contains real information, structured by real, systematic rules. It is not random nonsense. The computers have narrowed the field, but even they still cannot actually read the words on the page.
So today, the manuscript rests in Yale's Voynich Library. It is fully digitized. It's in the public domain. It is readable by anyone, anywhere in the world, with a simple internet connection. Every single page, every impossible plant, every cryptic star chart is right there for you to examine. And yet, it remains entirely, magnificently unread.
600 years. Every technology we possess, from human intuition to the absolute cutting edge of artificial intelligence, has been turned on these 240 pages of elegant, flowing script. Every brilliant mind that has tried has failed. Because somewhere in those 240 pages, in that flowing, confident, utterly unreadable script, someone wrote something, and we still do not know what.